Welcome to our Youth Education and Spiritism with Kardec Radio. I am Bernadete Leal, and I'll be spending a few minutes with you, inspiring to bring spiritual awareness and spiritist teachings to our youth, parents, and educators. Today, we will continue talking about joy, and we will answer the following question. How can I be joyful during tough times? Being joyful is a choice, and it is possible to find joy during tough times in our lives, but it definitely requires some work. Consistent joy is like a muscle that needs to be exercised every day to become stronger. Many of us can relate to difficult moments in which we were feeling down, discouraged, sad, and stressed. In certain occasions, we felt strong and were able to handle whatever situation we were facing, but in other times, we felt like giving up, weak, and joy seemed to be impossible, something very far from the reality we were living. Let's reflect upon those times when we felt weak and discouraged. Picture yourself in a boxing ring, ready to fight your opponent and win the match. Now, let's have the following analogy. The boxing ring is life. The opponent is your challenges and hardships. The fight is what you have to do to protect yourself and handle your struggles, and winning represents joy. So, when we face challenges and begin to feel discouraged and negative, we are actually putting our guard down and allowing the opponent to hit us. Therefore, we will lose the match with a great risk of getting badly hurt. If we were in a real-life situation of someone trying to punch us, we would do our best to protect and defend ourselves, right? And the reason is because we have this natural instinct of self-preservation. Now, why can we do the same and apply our self-preservation nature when it comes to how we choose to handle our life challenges? Don't we know that too much worry, stress, and negative feelings affect us and can harm our mental and physical health? So, if we are aware of it, then why don't we take action? And the reason is because it requires work, a type of work that invites us to look at ourselves and change how we act. We may not have control over some situations that happen around us, but we have control on how we react. When life is striking us, we need to fight with the right weapons, not violent ones, but weapons of joy, like prayer, optimism, harmony, positive energy, meditation, understanding, and faith. One mistake we make is to empower the problem. Yes, we feed and dwell on it, thinking negatively. And as we do that, we begin to feel powerless, blocking any signs of joy. It is just like the shadow of a little mouse on the wall. Depending on the distance and the position of the light, the reflection of the mouse can make it look huge and scary, when it actually is much smaller and less frightening than it appears. We keep looking at the shadow and not the light. This behavior also shows a lack of faith. We forget that God is bigger and more powerful than any issue. Children and mailing teenagers have the same problem. When they are facing any challenges, they struggle handling them, making up the problem bigger than it really is, creating mental monsters in their heads, feeling powerless and overreacting. So, it is our job to help our children by teaching them tools to handle their challenges, including using the weapons of joy we just mentioned. When my teenage daughter comes to me very stressed, saying she has a problem, I usually smile and tell her, "Good. If you're telling me you have a problem, it is already a positive thing because problem is an obstacle or challenge that has a resolution," even though she may not like the resolution. So, when you say you have a problem, it means that there is already a solution. We just have to do some work and find it. I also remind her of some of her past challenges in her life and how she overcame and solved many of her problems. In fact, dear friends, if we all look at our past experiences, we will see how many of those tough times in our lives were actually blessings that transformed us into better and stronger people. The Spiritist teachings explain how challenges and pain help us to grow and progress spiritually. Therefore, this is a pretty good reason to be joyful. Spiritism also teaches us how our down moments can spiritually affect us by attracting and connecting with low and suffering spirits. Once we have this awareness, it is imperative to find the will and energy to snap out of it. Otherwise, we will be blocking the joy, not allowing the light to shine upon us. Spiritism reminds us that there are pains that are self-inflicted. In other words, we create them. Chapter 5 of the Gospel according to Spiritism by Allan Kardec says, "In most cases, men and women are the architects of their own troubles. Yet, rather than admit this fact, they usually find easier and less humiliating to their egos to blame their troubles on fate, God, bad luck, or even on an unlucky star. However, this unlucky star is actually no more than their own carelessness." A beautiful example of joy is Paul the Apostle, who had many trials in his life. He was in prison, beaten, shipwrecked, endangered, suffered sleep deprivation, hungry, and much more. And still, he was joyful. Even when he was in prison, he found the opportunity to share the gospel with others and the guards, and wrote inspiring letters which brought to him a lot of joy. His faith in God was beyond any hardships. As Robert Schuller said, "Joy is not the absence of suffering, it is the presence of God." Chico Xavier, a renowned Brazilian medium, found himself one day with great sadness and feeling exhausted. He then prayed to his spiritual mentor, Emmanuel, to help him and alleviate his pain. His mentor appeared to him and explained that everything passes. In other words, all our trials and challenges are temporary. Whatever struggle we are dealing will pass. So let's keep that in mind. Remember, our pain will not last forever, and things will get better as we put some effort into it and choose to look at the problem from a different perspective. As in 2 Corinthians 4:18, Paul wrote, "So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal." Kardec Radio listeners, let's choose joy in life, knowing that it is possible to be joyful even during hard times. But we should understand that some of our trials bring us very wise lessons that help our evolution. We should expand our view by looking at a bigger picture when we are dealing with life challenges, and not act like hens with our heads down packing the corn. Instead, we should do our best to be like eagles that soar in the skies with a wider view and expand our horizons. Thanks for listening to Yes, and if you have any questions that would like us to answer here, please email them to Kardec at kardecradio.com.